This season's driver shuffle seemed like it was going to be uneventful looking at the contracts that were running out, but how wrong we all were. Like a house of cards, one driver has moved and made the whole grid come tumbling down. What started with an old legend retiring has evolved into an unproven entity creating shockwaves around the sport. But is the position of fan favourite Daniel Ricciardo really as precarious as it may seem? Let's find out. At this point, it is a foregone conclusion that Daniel Ricciardo will be leaving the McLaren team that he hoped would help re-spark his career. He sits 12th in the driver standings at the moment, and his season high finish of 6th is his worst since he joined Red Bull back in 2014. He was meant to bring points, podiums and pace to the McLaren team, but this season has only provided disappointment. The rumours of his departure have been brewing since the Miami Grand Prix back in early May, but the line from Ricciardo's camp has always been the contract is in my hands. While that might be true to a point, McLaren obviously have a way out of it. Sebastian Vettel's departure from the sport was a shock, but probably shouldn't have been as surprising as it was. He has lost love with the sport in recent years. The FIA president Mohammed bin Sulayem has at times tried to implant his views and ideals into the sport, and that has upset Vettel. He's become more and more outspoken about human rights in recent seasons, a cause that the FIA doesn't seem to be bothered about. This season especially, he looked disconnected and his retirement video echoed that. His wife and children need to come first for him. Despite the shock of him leaving, what came next was completely unexpected. Fernando Alonso announced he was going to replace Seb at Aston Martin, to the complete surprise of his current team Alpine, who were convinced he was staying with them. Alpine did the logical thing of promoting their reserve driver Oscar Piastri to replace Fernando for 2023, but he denied that he was going to be there. A reserve driver turning down promotion to an F1 team is unheard of, and career-ending in most cases, but Piastri apparently has a plan. Does a rumour still count as a rumour if everyone is sure it's true? Surely it's just a fact at that point. In this case, Ricciardo's exit from McLaren seems to be fact, and Piastri replacing him is inevitable. FIA's contract renegotiation board, where all F1 contracts are checked for validity, is said to have validated Piastri's new contract with McLaren at the expense of his existing deal with Alpine. Apparently, the deal between McLaren and Piastri was done during the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend, the same weekend that Alonso's deal with Aston Martin was done. Alpine really got screwed in all of this. Before leaving for the summer break, Ricciardo shared a message of positivity with his fans. He sounded eager to take 2 weeks off and then come back and work. He needed a couple of weeks to reset before coming back and proving why McLaren hired him in the first place. Unfortunately for him, McLaren aren't going to give him the chance to fight for his place after summer. Ricciardo said, "To be honest, switching off normally gives me like a natural reset," said Ricciardo after the Hungarian Grand Prix. To a point where I imagine in, say, 10 days, 2 weeks into the break, I would have kind of got the holiday out of my system and then I'll build that hunger back again. On what he wanted to do after the break and how he was going to turn his season around, he said, "A bit like last year, I want to kind of start the second half of this season with a positive bang and just get the ball rolling. The triple header, it's intense. So I think come out and set some strong intentions. That's the plan. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but that's certainly the plan." He will still have the chance to do this, but it won't be McLaren he's trying to impress anymore. It'll be his prospective new team. Remember, Sergio Perez was set to leave the sport until the penultimate race of the season in 2020, before he signed the biggest contract of his life and moved to Red Bull. Ricciardo should take hope from that. He still has a chance to impress. Before we talk about where he might go though, let's consider what getting rid of him might mean to McLaren. This dismissal will cost the Woking-based team dearly due to contractual commitments. F1 journalist Peter Windsor has said, "This will be another hit in the region of 20 million, maybe more or maybe less. Maybe they can negotiate it down or they can finance a seat for him somewhere else. In any case, that will be the key before everything can fall into place." McLaren's finances were devastated during COVID-19, leading to them selling off many assets, including parts of their factory and headquarters. Paying Ricciardo off is no small thing. This illustrates just how keen McLaren are to get rid of the Australian for 2023 and replace him with someone who can score the team more points, even if that driver is completely unproven. So what about Ricciardo then? Current reports say that there are at least 4 constructors in contact with Daniel about a contract for next year. Before Fernando Alonso's bombshell move, there were 6 teams with possible vacancies: Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Haas, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and Williams. Yuki Tsunoda's contract may be up at the end of the season, but team boss Franz Tost seems keen to give him another season. And even if AlphaTauri wanted Daniel, would Daniel really want to go back to the Red Bull Junior team? Probably not. Aston Martin are obviously sorted for next season now that Fernando has signed on with them, so we can take them off the list as well. Luckily for Lance Stroll, his dad owns the team, so he isn't going anywhere anytime soon. That leaves us with Haas, Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Alpine. While the driver pairing of Kevin Magnussen and Daniel Ricciardo reads well on paper, Mick Schumacher's recent performances mean he'll probably sign a new contract with Haas soon. We could be wrong, but everything we hear from the Haas garage points towards that outcome. What about Alfa Romeo? Valtteri Bottas has a long-term contract with the team and has proved this season that it wasn't just the Mercedes car making him competitive. Zhou Guanyu might currently be out of contract at the end of the season, but it seems unlikely that will stay true for long. It is accepted in the media that Nicholas Latifi will lose his Williams seat at the end of the season. He hasn't improved at all this year, and with Alex Albon showing him up every race, there's no hiding for the Canadian. Would Daniel go to Williams though? Probably not by choice, but if there was nowhere else for him to go, then maybe. Luckily for Daniel, there is a spot at a team that might interest him. Alpine needs to fill the hole left by Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri, and Ricciardo might just be the man to do it. Otmar Safnauer has been asked about the likelihood of this happening and definitely didn't seem against the idea. I mean, if you look at Fernando for example, he comes and goes, and I think that happens to other drivers too, team boss Safnauer said before Piastri's statement. And I don't think that's an issue at all. I think what we need to focus on is, like I say, the plans that we have for the next 89-88 races. We've got to make sure that we complement that plan with the best driver that we can, and there are some options out there for us. And we put the best driver in next to Esteban Ocon, so that we can move forwards towards what we've been planning. Given the choice, with the next 88-89 races in mind, Alpine may have chosen a driver who could develop with the team. Hence why they tried to announce Oscar Piastri as their new driver. Now they don't have that option though. Could Daniel be the one to help the team take the next step to the top of the midfield? Daniel did race for the team back when they were called Renault and dominated teammates Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon, scoring 2 podiums in the process. In Alpine's eyes, maybe McLaren was the cause of Daniel's poor form, not Daniel himself. The simplest move for the Australian would definitely be to take the vacancy to Alpine. But there would also be the option for Ricciardo to take a year out of the sport and return for the 2024 season, where a bigger market would potentially be available to him. Only a few drivers are signed up beyond the 2023 campaign, and the biggest seat potentially becoming available would be Lewis Hamilton's at Mercedes. And Wolff has previously admitted, at the start of the 2019 season, that Mercedes were once looking at Ricciardo as an option to drive alongside Hamilton. "We always had an eye on Daniel, we really like him in here," Wolff said. "It's just the mentality in Mercedes. I sometimes feel if you're happy in your relationship, it is not always easy to change. It is like being married, you need to be 100% behind it. It was not a lack of interest, it was just that we were happy in a relationship, and there was no need to flirt with another woman at that stage." It is probably stretching too far into the realm of fantasy to imagine Ricciardo taking over from Hamilton at Mercedes. All signs at the moment are pointing to him joining up with Esteban Ocon at Alpine, probably on a 1-year contract with the option to add another if the team are happy with how he performs. Despite his poor form this year, the Aussie is still the best choice for an Alpine side that wants to be challenging the top 3 in coming seasons. Do you think Daniel will make the move to Alpine, or should Alpine be looking elsewhere for some fresh talent? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, drive safe and bye bye.